rules of the game are changing, and trading with prop firms is about to be a whole lot easier and for you a whole lot more profitable. So if you've struggled to pass evals or you've struggled to get payouts, your luck is about to change. In this video, what we're going to talk about is the landscape of prop firms, what's been happening behind the scenes, what changes are occurring, and how that's going to benefit you going forward. So this might turn into the golden age of prop firm trading for prop firm traders. Now, I just made a video on TopStep and how they updated their payout policy because essentially they made it a little bit easier and a little bit quicker for you to get your money. So instead of having to make $200 5 times, you have to make $150. So a 25% reduction in the amount of money you need to make per day to be eligible for a payout. Then they adjusted it from a $500 minimum payout, dropped it down to $125. And you always have to have double in your account as to what you're requesting. So if you are requesting a $120 payout, you need $250 of profit. Before, you need $1,000 of profit to get a $500 payout. So it wasn't the best rule, but it was what it was. And we had to deal with it. Now that has changed. My Funded Futures is also potentially and kind of rumored to be following suit. So some of the rules for them, as it appears, is that they're going to be dropping the cost down of their evals by about a third. So that'll come down. I'm looking at one of the 50K eval here at $66. I'm seeing that they're going to not have a consistency rule in the eval, meaning you could pass in just one day, which I personally absolutely love. You should be able to get to a funded account as soon as possible, as long as you follow the rules of making this certain amount of money without losing a certain amount of money. What they are introducing is going to be really interesting, and I think it's going to hit a lot of traders hard, which is a payout cap. Now, this isn't new to most prop firms. Most prop firms have something in place already, and My Funded Futures is moving in that direction. I think all prop firms are going to be moving in that direction, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but their payout cap for the 50K account would be $1,000, and you'd be able to copy trade 5 of their accounts or have 5 of their accounts rather than just 3. So they're going to up how many accounts you can have, but bring down how much money you could pull from them, which makes sense because there is no activation fee, which they haven't had for a while, but that's like concrete now. And they're going to bring down the cost of their evaluation. So we're going to talk about how all this kind of fits together and where this landscape of prop firms is going, because it's only going to benefit you and I as traders. Specifically, what is actually changing? So we just talked about evals and the price and the speed to pass. I think what is going to be coming down the pipe is the price of these evals will come down. I think a 50K account will be a pretty normal to charge like $30 up to like $70. I think that'll be the going range. And then your ability to pass these evals, I think consistency rules are going to go out of the window. I don't think that you're going to be able to get away with certain prop firms giving you the ability or making you be inside of these evals for 5 days or 10 days or whatever the case might be, or even just 3 days. I think that we are going to start to see that you can pass these evals at whatever speed you feel comfortable with. And we'll talk about that a little bit later with the competition. Activation fees are probably going out of the window too. We'll talk about regulation in a little bit, but activation fees don't make a ton of sense when you're going from a simulated account to another simulated account. It's not reasonable that there would cost you $100 to provide that account, right? That doesn't make any sense. So activation fees might be going out the window. Payout policies. We're going to start seeing firms offer and do the same thing. 5 days, you have to make X amount of dollars per day to earn a payout. I think we'll probably settle around $100 a day. I think that'll probably be what we're looking for. Maybe somebody will be crazy and do $50, or they'll do like $100 for 3 days, but you have to get a payout, but you have to have like $600 of profit or something like that. We're going to start seeing these windows shrink down. No more Apex, no more Take Profit Trader, none of these like direct to funded. They're going to see these windows come down quickly. So that's going to be out there too. One of the biggest drivers of this, though, is going to be competition. All of the firms, it seems like, offer some of the same things. Those that offer new things or different things will start stealing market share, wallet share, if you would, from these prop firms. So I look at like Alpha Futures. I've been trading with Alpha Futures for the past couple of weeks. Really love their software and their setup. I like their dashboards, really clean and easy to use. But they offer what TopStep offers. It's the same exact thing, but you can pass in 1 day. And that's favorable to me because I put together a strategy that can pass in a day. And so I might as well get funded right away as opposed to having to wait 2 days or 3 days because of some sort of consistency rule. And so as rules change, new firms will find ways to exploit like some of those changes at different prop firms and allow you to earn a little bit more without having to do too much more work. Now, there's going to be less loyalty because of this. Competition and less loyalty kind of go together, which is there won't be a reason for you to be tied to a prop firm. I talked about in a previous video about building portfolios, having pockets of funded accounts at different places for different rules, for stacking payouts, for trying to schedule your different payouts. when it comes to prop firms, there is no reason for you to be loyal to one specifically. They don't do anything for you. If you trade well at one prop firm, you can trade well at a different prop firm. The platforms might be different. We'll talk about that in a second. But overall, it's going to be the same thing. And so what we're going to start seeing is in Apex, probably it feels this, which is when they don't run a sale, nobody buys. And then when they have a sale, everyone buys. And it's like, well, okay, that's interesting to see. And so there's going to be a firm that fits somewhere in the middle there that says, hey, we're not as cheap as Apex when they run their sales, but we're way more fair with our payouts. We don't have any activation fees, and we don't have any sort of consistency rules inside of these accounts that you have to abide by. And a consistency rule is something I think will fit into the payout policy, which is I think we're going to get away from consistency rules inside of these prop firms, because what's going to happen is you'll probably have no consistency rule, but a payout cap. So you could hit one just humongous trade, but you're not going to get all of that money until you meet all of the rules. I think that's kind of where we're heading. As a matter of fact, I was a huge beneficiary of this back when Top Step didn't have a payout cap. I remember I had an $11,000 trade. I just let the thing run like the whole day. And I was able to earn, it was like a $7,000 payout because of that singular trade after I hit my mark of $200 5 times. And that was like the third day or something. And so like those days are probably gone, but in replace of that, you're going to get a smaller payout amount, but you do get the chance to get more payouts. And so I think all of us would benefit more from just getting more payouts rather than trying to hit these huge trades that aren't likely to happen consistently. Now, platforms and platform changes. This is huge because Project X is kind of disturbing this whole thing. I don't know the behind the scenes as to why a Project X would be able to slide in and take the place of Tradevate for Top Step as an example, or some different prop firms. I don't know why that's the case, but it feels like there's a game within the game there. And so we'll see as some of these platforms do change. What could end up happening or what regulation would stop is like in Forex, you have, the broker who has a trade against you because you're a bad trader and they know they can exploit that. But like certain fills and certain orders, I don't know how much control a prop firm might have, like Top Step, not accusing them of anything, but they don't have as much control over what might happen inside of that account on Tradevate as they might with Project X or whoever, or what other platform there is, Wealth Charts, or you pick Rhythmic, whatever the case might be. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm not doing that. But what I do think is that these platforms will allow for some different things to occur, and that could work to the benefit of you and I or to the prop firm. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Now, regulation is probably the biggest driver of all of this. We'll talk about this in a second, but the way that these prop firms have been operating is nothing short of a casino, except casinos have way lower profit margins than prop firms do, and this is for a good reason. There's no real regulation. So with casinos, you have specific rules you have to follow. With prop firms, you really don't have any. We're going to break down the two in just a second, but we're going to start seeing these rules change to basically meet what the law requires and what is dictated. And that's going to help a lot of you guys start to earn payouts because you're probably not a bad trader. You're just at the whim or the helm of a firm that doesn't want to pay you. And so they put all these weird rules in front of you and they make you verify your strategy and they make you do a video call. And it's like, hold on, buddy, I met the rules, give me my money. And so regulation and having some sort of governing body will help us. So we as the consumer, the ones who are buying these evals, paying activation fees, and trying to get payouts, we haven't had anybody on our side. That is probably about to change, and that's going to help us make more money. Regulation. This is the biggest reason for these changes, whether regulation is coming or there already is a small governing body that we just don't know about just yet. It is the force and the reason behind these changes. And so I want to compare a prop firm to a casino because the business model is the exact same. It's a zero-sum game. Somebody wins one, somebody loses one. Equals zero. And so obviously with casinos, you walk in, if you gamble money and you lose, casino wins, the house wins. Same thing with prop firms though. When you buy an eval and you pay an activation fee and you get your funded account and you blow the funded account and you start it over again, they win and you lose. You're out that money and they have your money. And so that's why you keep seeing new prop firms start up day after day after day, and why you'll see an Apex or other prop firms offer these insane like promo codes that you can use to buy cheap evals, is because they are going to collect so much cash from you and not have to pay out basically anything more than they're used to paying out. And so it is a wonderful business model. In fact, it's probably one of the best ones. And it's one of the reasons that you see so much more competition. We'll start to see margins drive down, but regulation is coming because of how predatory, you could say, prop firms have become. Now, regulation as it relates to casinos, this is probably where we're going. I want to look at the fairness oversight. This to me is the biggest thing. Now, prop firms cannot dictate what trades you enter, right? They can't say, hey, you probably shouldn't go long right now, you should go short. That's not their job. But what needs to be disclosed are a couple things. Number one is not every single prop firm has paid out $50 million or whatever number they claim. It just hasn't happened, okay? I don't know a single trader at some of these prop firms who use these prop firms that have gotten payouts. They don't talk about it on YouTube, they're not on TikTok, they're not on Instagram, they're not on Twitter, they're nowhere. And one thing about prop firm traders is they're everywhere. We're easy to find because we want to talk about things that we love to do. But I don't see anybody earning hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars on some of these prop firms, yet they are still marketing it as such. So that has to go away, right? So-and-so just earned a payout. We need to verify what is actually going on there. We also need to understand the odds. And I wouldn't be surprised if before you signed up for an account, you had to explicitly agree to understand that only 10% or 5% or 3% of traders actually earn a payout. That needs to be said because if you aren't good at trading, you probably shouldn't be using prop firms. You're going to be giving them, your money. Now, one thing I do really love, I love that ChatGPT kind of brought this up. I gave it a prompt and it gave me back some good answers here, is oversight on slippage. I talked about this with the platforms and how Project X kind of fits into this. Tradeovate is one of them, Wealth Charts, Arithmetic, all the different quant towers, all the different platforms that are out there. We have no clue what actually goes on behind the scenes, and if these platforms are at best just neutral to the prop firm and neutral to us traders. That'd be the best case. We don't know. Spread manipulation, server latency. There are a lot of things, and we've all been in trades. We have all been in trades where we're like, that was weird, and not necessarily that the prop firm is trying to get one over on us or the platform itself is bad. Just that was a little strange. But there is nobody that's looking and saying, hey, this platform, because of this prop firm, is doing a specific thing. Or what's really even more interesting is that on certain platforms, you can do certain things with certain prop firms, a lot of firms. But on a different platform with a different prop firm, or rather different prop firm, same platform, other things aren't available. I think about Tradeovate with the micro to mini or mini to micro conversions with Top Step. They didn't do it, but then Apex will do it and every other firm does it. That's a little strange. And then there's group trading and there's different things that you can do with certain firms that you can't do with other ones. And so because there's no straight across the board rule, everyone just kind of does their own thing, which means someone's going to push the bounds on what you can do that might be a little predatory, that might be a little in the gray, but because there's nobody looking over your shoulder, you get away with it. So those kinds of things are coming. Now, conflict of interest, I don't think. Consumer protection is probably the biggest thing here, which is just making sure that what is being said, stated, and promoted is actually the truth. Saying that a certain trader earned a huge payout, that's something. I think about affiliates in this way where you might have an affiliate or a trader, right, who earns a decent size affiliate payout, but that isn't a trading payout, but it's marketed as such. That those kinds of things, I don't know that they are happening. They could be happening, but it needs to be expressly said hey, this person earned this money doing this thing, or this account wasn't real, or we're propping up these accounts. There has to be somebody that's auditing what's going on and saying, okay, that trader isn't actually trading very well, but we're boosting them up a little bit so it encourages others to buy the accounts so that you can, sell more accounts. KYC is really important. Every time you pass a funded account now, you have to submit all this information. I don't remember doing this for Top Step when I first passed, and even Apex as well. That was never a thing. You just got the account, you paid the fee, and then you started trading right away. Now everybody has to know your driver's license, where you live, what your name is, and all that. And then when you do get a payout, they need your tax information too. That's been the same. That's normal. But there is some compliance here that is going into effect, and I think that's going to be a really good thing for a lot of us. But this is regulation. There is something that's coming. At least it's been whispered about, and I could be 6 months early. I could be 2 years early. I have no clue, but I do know that it's been whispered that these kinds of things could be coming for the prop firm industry because the business and the business model makes so much freaking money that something has to be at fault here. You can't have a zero-sum game, a zero-sum business, and have a huge profit margin. It doesn't work like that. Online betting, casinos, all the same, have rules in place and they have to be abided by. Now, because of all these rule changes and regulations that's potentially coming, here's what you're going to get because of this. We talked about this already, but easier payouts. you're going to be able to get money and extract money from these prop firms a lot easier. I have a feeling that traders who have never gotten a payout will start earning payouts a lot smoother. This is going to handicap some of the best prop firm traders who are able to max out some of these comp plans. It's probably going to hurt them a little bit, but on average, it's going to raise the C level of using prop firms and trading futures with some of these companies. We are going to see lower fees altogether. Activation fees, I anticipate not being a thing. Evaluations being much cheaper. Okay, so we're going to start seeing less fees. This is a big one that happened in crypto, and it's probably going to follow suit in prop firms as well. As we're going to start seeing firms operate inside or outside of the United States. And this is a big deal because if you have a prop firm that operates outside the United States, they don't follow U.S. Jurisdiction. They're probably going to be in the Emirates, they're going to be in like the Bahamas or these different places where they can't be touched by the U.S. government if they are to screw over a U.S. consumer. So you have to pay attention to this now, but you're going to start seeing prop firms being established in these different places. So you'll have like U.S. prop firms. It's very similar to like Forex. You have the U.S. brokers that have a certain amount of margin, and then you have the overseas ones that give you more margin, but you don't know what's going on and everything else. So inside versus outside the United States is a big deal. This is probably coming due to, again, regulation. Now, I think you're also going to have easier transitions to live accounts because of the payout rules. I believe that because you're going to be able to earn a payout faster, you will be more patient. Because you're more patient, you'll be a better trader. And because of that, these prop firms will actually have to move you to a funded account. I think this is one of the big things that is holding back, or is part of the regulations as well, is, I didn't say it before, I think if you're a prop firm, you have to have at least a certain amount of cash set aside for like real funded traders. Like you have to have money ready for them to use. And so if you don't, you're not actually a prop firm, you're an online gambling institution. And so I think what will end up happening is you'll have a lot of traders getting funded and getting to live, but the live account might be like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. They won't have the full capital stack that we're used to. So that could change. I could be wrong about this. This is a prediction. I could be wrong about it, but I think this is something that will happen as well, is you'll have smaller live funded accounts, which technically means smaller evals as well, but it'll all be semantics at the point anyway. You'll also have easier auditing. I think we will be able to track things, and the prop firms will make this easy to track who is doing what and who is actually getting payouts versus who actually isn't. This is going to be something that's going to be really good for a lot of traders, and ideally the content creator side of things, where you can't just say you're earning all of this money and we can't verify. You can't just say you're earning all this money and we can't see what is going on. So I think there will be easier auditing because that's part of regulation, is there's auditing on both sides, the consumer and the business itself. So all of these things I think are coming. They're all going to be really good things for the traders with prop firms because it's such a lopsided business model. Any tweaks to the rules make it easier for us. So if it was a level 95 difficulty, it's going to get down to like a level 80 or 75 or 65 or something like that in that range. So more people will have success, more will get payouts, and more of us will be able to enjoy more of what prop firms offer us. All right, so very excited about all of this. Let me know in the comments what you think some of the rule changes mean, what's going to happen. I would love to go back and forth with you and maybe even adjust some of my thoughts based on what you think. So happy to put this video out. If you guys have any other questions, put them in the comments, submit a question down below, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.